All right, here we go. So we'll have a few more jumping on here. I know a few people will come late, but that's cool. Let's just start by breathing, shall we? Finally. I can sense so many people are in their lives, so many people are going throughout their day and trying to do what they can to basically survive through all of this chaos. And it's sort of it's an area where people can forget to just look inward, to breathe, to notice what's going on, to realize they're the observer of everything. Right. So let's just take some time to just feel. All right. Just take some time to feel. Take some time to notice what's going on within you. As you breathe deep, it brings you back to this present moment, which is so needed right now. You can sense so many people have their mind on the future. Some people have their mind on the past of, how good it used to be, or maybe there's a lot of blame going around of whose fault all of this is. When you breathe deep, it brings you back to this moment, this present moment. Notice what's coming up for you. Whatever it is you feel, uncertainties, doubts, worries, maybe peace, joy, abundance, whatever it may be, just sit there and feel. Don't judge it. Don't resist it. Just feel. Hold the space for it. Just hold the space. And as you breathe, as you feel this, also notice the love that's there. Right? Notice your heart beating. Feel your heart beating. Feel the energy that's beating your heart. And the amount of time that I've spent just listening to my heart, listening inward in the last couple of weeks, if not the last few months, has been just an absolute game changer. So feel what's coming up, breathe with it. And as you hold space for it, notice what else is coming up in terms of a calling, in terms of a heart's pull. As you go through this challenging time, who is it that you want to be? Do you want to be the you who continues to avoid, continues to be in resistance? Then when all this is over and we start going back to the way things were, just stay in your patterns? Or do you want to use this as your spiritual gift? A spiritual gift that says, what's coming up right now, what's flowing through me wouldn't do so. It wouldn't be coming up if my circumstances were the way I wanted them to be. If my circumstances were the way I wanted them to be, my ego thinks they should be, I wouldn't have to face what's within here at a deeper level. Right? So feel that. Just feel it. Be in the space. And you can notice when you drop resistance to these emotions, when you drop resistance to these patterns, and you sit in a place of surrender, deeper levels of love flow through, deeper levels of contribution. Questions like, how may I serve? Questions like, what example do I want to be? Right? Questions like, what difference do I want to make? Questions like, what do I want to do? Rather than what should I do? Or maybe you guys can type in the chat if this is helping, if this is something that Looking inward is something that is resonating, something that you find is helping. Give me an indication in the chat. Let me know. Maybe even type in some ideas of some breakthroughs you've had or some things that have come up. Michelle's agreeing with me. Awesome. Illy, it's designation, but sometimes very difficult. Yes. It's very difficult to break the pattern. It's very easy to sit there and not do anything and just observe, but it's difficult to the primary pattern. It's difficult to the past pattern. Right? You do have to break some patterns in order to do this. Beautiful, Barbara. It's so enlightening of what is coming up, what is coming out. Exactly, exactly. And I'm like all of us. This will lead to deeper levels of trust, deeper levels of alignment, deeper levels of flow. Right? The more you feel whatever's coming up for you, the more you hold space for it, whatever it is, all the judgments, all the resistance, all the attachments, what is on the other side of that, because you're holding space for a side of you that you wouldn't had to look at otherwise, what is on the other side of that is so much trust, so much guidance, so much alignment, so much flow. Right? Illy says, I feel more settled and calm. Perfect. So a few things, a few announcements. I'm going to do, a lot of you already know, I'm going to be doing daily podcast episodes. So I'm going to be doing them. I'm going to be doing daily podcast episodes, especially through the next month or two, maybe. Just while we're going through all of this levels of uncertainty, all these levels of doubt, I just feel called to do that, to serve at a different level, to help out how I can, to be there with value and guidance as much as I can, and reminding you of what's true. And so I'm always looking for more people to be on the podcast. I haven't done this before, but I'm going to have more guests, more people who are wanting to come on, who want to either share some insights, to share some wins, to share some empowering stories, or even to ask some questions of my content, or ask some questions and to present a challenging thing that's coming up for them. So I'm going to be doing daily podcast episodes. Next week, I'm going to have my coach on the Zoom call. That's going to be a really, really cool call. It's basically, we're going to be guiding people through on how to find their calling, how to find your passion, your heart's leap through chaos, right? How needed is that? That's going to be super cool. So that's going to be a good call to jump on. I'll send out the link to a few people who's interested. So if you want that, I'll be more than happy to spread the link. I'll set up a Facebook event and I'll tag you all in it and invite you. That's going to be something to jump on. It really is, and to share around, because we go in deep. We definitely go in deep. And if you want to find your calling through chaos, that's something that's going to be a game changer for you. So Michelle's saying, a mentor taught me a gift. Once you see the pattern, there's not something you do. Yeah, be present with it. Exactly. And see it come up, and it will change based on your awareness. Exactly. The more you're aware of your patterns, you don't have to do anything with them. You just have to be aware of them, right? Eckhart Tolle teaches this all the time. You just have to be aware of your ego, and just the awareness itself allows it to dissolve, right? Because the ego thrives on unconscious. If you're unconscious to it, then that's real key. And this is something I was talking to Sarah with, is basically when things are going well, we're caught in unconscious, right? We are unconscious to our patterns. We are unconscious, and we're just following along with society, with what society expects of us. All of those shoulds, right? I find I'm getting a sense, and you guys can tell me if you sense this as well, that with all of the chaos going on right now, it's just waking us up to what's really true. We're literally being forced into our houses, literally forced on the couch, right? And forced to look inward, right? And Christina Lopes, who we're going to have on the Zoom call next week, it's a different time. So this started at 10 a.m. for me. It's going to start at 9 a.m. for me. So it's 1 hour less, 1 hour earlier than this call. And that's on my Tuesday morning, which is if you're in the States or North America, it's Monday evening. My coach, Christina, says that basically the universe is basically shifting in a way that says, if you don't sit and look inward and allow these patterns and look inward and do the inner work, you're basically not going to survive. We're having a shift right now where we're being forced to look in. We're being forced to pay attention to our patterns. We're being forced to pay attention to where our ego is being unconscious. And it's the best opportunity for us to look in and say, okay, what is it that I want to do with my life? What is my heart's calling? What is my leap? What is something that I want to do? Because then you can ask yourself, what's that path look like? How can I get on that path rather than the one I think I should be on? But I was saying, when is your time change? My time change is off daylight savings is the first week of April. So it's the Zoom call next week is before the change. So it shouldn't be a problem there. April 5th, I believe we change our daylight savings. We'll try and work it out, okay? We'll try and sort it out between each other. I'll remind everyone in the groups and stuff like that when the call is going to be on. So make sure you pay attention. Even a lot of people I guarantee will show up in 40 minutes time and be like, I'm ready for the call. I'm like, no, we had an hour ago. But this is a real key opportunity. So a question you can ask yourself right now is, what is this circumstance leading me towards? What is this circumstance driving me to do? What is this opportunity that's being presented in front of me? Is it the opportunity to look in and face those things that you couldn't consciously face before? All the things that are arising that wouldn't have arisen before, right? What is the opportunity here? As we welcome Andrea to the call. What is the opportunity? What is the opportunity you have right now to feel, to guide yourself, to be aware of your patterns? And what is it that you want to do? I can guarantee you there's so many people around the world right now that just woke up and said, holy shit, why have I just been in a job that I haven't enjoyed for the last 10 years, 20 years? So many people are just going to be waking up and be like, what the hell have I been doing? That wasn't security. That wasn't safety. I know a lot of you have followed my content, but let's bring this up again. When you're living in fear and you're going to a job or you're doing some things in your life, some patterns that you should be doing because it feels safe, right? Because it feels secure, because it feels like it gives you love. When you follow those patterns and you stay in that safety zone because it's responsible, notice how safe it feels, but only to your mind. Notice how safe it feels. It's only safe in your mind. When you pay attention, you look inward, notice how scary it feels to your heart and scary it feels to your body. Right? Can you feel that? Can you feel the difference? If you're in a job you don't like, if you're in a relationship that's falling out of alignment, right? If you're hanging out with friends or eating certain foods or watching certain TV shows or whatever it may be, and it doesn't feel aligned in here, but it feels safe and secure and comfortable in here, pay attention to that. I believe it's this time in history where people are going to start waking up to those patterns and saying, oh my God, I'm not on my heart's calling. I'm not on my heart's journey. How is it that I can get on my heart's journey? We look in, we resolve the patterns that are coming up, the fears, the doubts, the worries, the frustrations, everything that's coming up. And as we do that, we say, what is it that I want? What is it that I'm here to do? What is it, the difference that I'm here to make? What path do I want to be on? What difference? That's when you become aligned with the now, right? You become aligned with the now, and you start co-creating with the universe in crazy, crazy ways, right? Crazy ways. Like, for example, I'm looking to collaborate and co-create with a lot of people. This is a silly, silly example, but I'm looking to co-create with a lot of online business owners. And as you guys know, that's what I do. And instead of going out and asking a lot of people and using up a lot of effort in direct messaging a lot of people and reaching out, seeing if it's the right fit or whatever, I had a calling to basically sign up for, what's it called? Gaia. It's GIAI, I think it is, or maybe the other way around, GAIA. Gaia, I think it is, whatever that is, that online platform that houses a lot of videos and documentary series and stuff like that for spirituality and personal development and things like that. And so I just felt pulled to do that. So I'm like, okay, I'll sign up for that. And then I felt a calling to sign up to their Facebook group. And then I felt a pull and a calling to be like, oh, why don't I just post in that group and say, is there any online business owners here who want to co-create, collaborate? And that got approved like two hours ago. And now there's like 40 comments of people who are like, yeah, let's do it. I'll have a look now. There's literally 40 comments and still going of online business owners in there who reach out and want to co-create and collaborate. And I just started following what felt aligned in here, right? And and then all of a sudden it leads to so many opportunities with such less effort. I find this is what happens more and more when you resolve your internal patterns, you become aware of your patterns, and you follow what's in here. It's like the universe finally says, oh, okay, you ready to follow your heart now? Right? Who can feel that? Have you guys felt this in the past? I'm not sure if I'm the only one. Michelle, Andrea, yes. Andrea's doing some cool stuff as well. Now, all you guys can co-create and collaborate with yourselves as well. That's what's really, really cool about this group. So Illy, Michelle, Andrea, all agree, right? And here's the crazy piece. Here is the crazy piece. I'm not sure why this is, but it's almost like you say, okay, I want to go on my heart's journey. And what the universe generally does, I'm not sure if you guys have caught this as well, but it will take away the very things you're not so that you know you're safe without it. So for example, money is always a good topic when it comes to this. It really is. It's such a crazy illusion that we find ourselves in the Western world around money. So here's generally what happens. This is what I found. You want to follow your heart, but your ego says, how do you make money doing that? right? How do you make money doing that? How do I monetize this? Because your ego says, I need money in order to feel safe. There's a 5-year-old that says, I need money to feel safe. I need money to feel secure. So when you take your heart's leap and do what's your calling, what will generally happen is the universe will generally take away your money, even when you're on your leap, will take away your money so that you can see you're fine without it, right? So you can see you're fine without it. I remember declaring to myself months and months and months ago, it's like 8 months ago now, I'm like, I'm willing to do whatever's necessary in order to follow my heart. I'm willing to show that I'm fine without income, without money, that I'm going to be just safe, and I'm willing to follow my heart. That time I followed my heart and took some leaps, I basically had 3 people that were going to sign up to coaching, didn't sign up. I had another person back out, and I had another person want to, something happened in her life and she needed to refund. And I was basically left back down to 0. And I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this is me facing my very fear. And it was in that situation where I'm like, I have no other option. I have to look at the very fear that's within me. And it was the most beautiful, journey of my life, where I took a step back. What we're doing with, I took a step back and became the observer of it. And I became so overwhelmed with emotion that I'm willing to do this. That I'm willing to escape the limitations of what my ego thinks should happen and what society thinks I should do, so that I can go down this path of following my heart, following my calling, and facing whatever I need to face internally. And then once I realized that, and I started embodying that I'm safe no matter what happens to my bank account or my income, that's when clients just came in effortless abundance. It was effortless. It's like I just meditate for 3 hours, and then 2 people randomly message me and sign up to coaching. I'm like, I didn't even know who they are, right? Or randomly some income will come in, like $1,000 from like a family member or something, like crazy stuff. Because it's almost like I've opened up opportunities now where the universe says, okay, now you're safe. Now you're safe to present these opportunities, because you don't need it in order to be enough. You don't need it not to be safe. And you're just following your heart, not by what you can get, but how you can serve. It's been a huge difference. And this is what is what you go through, not only with money, but everything else, right? So as I start to get on bigger and bigger shows or podcasts or collaborate with bigger people, I'm being forced to look in and face my fears of being that imposter, or that imposter syndrome, for example. This isn't something that's coming up right now a lot, but it's like, if I have a fear of embarrassing myself in front of a huge audience, trust me, life will throw that at you, right? Life will throw it at you so that you can see you can do whatever, you can fail in front of thousands of people and you'll be just fine, right? Or even the opinions of other people. If you fear the opinions of other people, you fear their judgments, you follow your heart, trust me, you're going to get some comments of people with criticism or judgments or whatever it may be, so that you can face the side of you that needs to be faced, so that you can love the 5-year-old within you that has fear. It's the most beautiful transition. It really is. So is this also resonating? Is this coming up for you? Sarah says she can relate. Ellie says, yeah. Michelle says, loving it. Hope you guys all have your green tea. So noticing your fear, noticing your pattern, one way or another, you're going to be you're going to be faced with it. One way or another, either your circumstances or your decision is you're going to need to hold space for this fear that's coming up, or this doubt, or this worry, whatever it may be. What I'm finding now with this whole chaos is that now we're being forced by circumstances to look in. What's beautiful about you guys and this whole community is that we make that a decision and we make it a priority. It's like, I'm not going to wait for my circumstances to shift in a way that forces me inward. I'm going to do this on the daily, and I'm going to resolve those patterns so that when something externally happens, I know I just remain in peace. Right? And for all of you who want to be coaches, who want to be examples for your tribes, who want to be examples for your family, who want to, be an example for whatever shift you want to make in the world, that's where it resides, right? That's where it resides. Even now, I'll wake up and I'll have so much anxiety or uncertainty about the business or where I want to go with it or whatever it may be. And I'll recognize that as an opportunity. I'll be like, I've just opened up a huge safe space for this to flow through me. So Barbara says, I have Gaia as well. I'm not sure. How do I pronounce it? Am I pronouncing it right? Is it Gaia? I'm new to it as well. You're welcome. You're welcome for the reminder. Join the Facebook group and comment on my post. Awesome. So can you feel that, guys? Can you feel a particular fear, a particular form of resistance? Where is life's circumstances causing resistance? What do you think should be different right now? What do you think should or shouldn't be different than what is? That'll lead you to your fear. Really will. I did a podcast episode this morning. I released it this morning. I released it about 2.5 hours ago with Michelle, who's in the group, Michelle Johnson. And we got on a call yesterday and I helped her through the uncertainty. So I'm going to be doing a lot more live coaching on there and doing a lot more live examples of walking people through their fears. And it was just a really, really cool example of how she was feeling uncertainty because she felt like she needs to control the circumstances in order to be safe, right? How many of us feel like we need to control the outcome, control the circumstance, control our life in order for us to feel safe? When really we can just look at the side of us that feels like life needs to be that way in order for us to feel safe, right? When you sit in the place of surrender, you realize there's a lot of uncertainty. In fact, the uncertainty is the beautiful piece, because with uncertainty comes unlimited possibilities. If you think you can, if you try to see your steps, if you try to see all of the steps, then you're just operating from your mind. Can you guys feel this? If you think you need to know all of the steps for your Facebook group, for your marketing, for your, for your business growth, if you think you need to know all of the steps and you can see all of the steps to a particular result, you're operating just from your mind and you're not tapping into your expansion, the universe, right? You're not tapping into infinite possibilities. That's how you know you're just working from your mind and trying to be safe and certain, right? So who has some questions around this? Ellie says, my business should be further along. Awesome, that's a key one. I love that. But I'm no longer beating myself up about it. However, I'm committing to change. I still struggle with total surrender. Now here's a key piece, Illy. This is a really key piece, and it's something that might reframe this. A lot of people say I struggle with surrender. You're already in surrender. whether you know it or not, you're already in surrender. Your spirit, who you are, is already in surrender. It's just your ego that's fighting it. That's where the resistance is. Right? So for example, when you actually are in peace and you're surrendered and you're okay with everything, you realize, oh, I was this all of the time because that's where my spirit is. Right? That's who I am. Who I am is surrender. Who I am is peace. That's what my consciousness is. Right? My consciousness just is. You're already in peace. You're already in surrender. It's just your ego that's being conditioned is basically conditioned to tell you otherwise. But when you sit in surrender and you sit and you realize who and what you are, you realize that pattern. You can see and love that pattern. Yeah, Andrew's got expectations. Perfect. Awesome. I catch myself all the time. All the time. It's only in the last few days I've really had a huge breakthrough, especially with my post, when I had a post and a podcast episode about what was it? So it was about expectations and striving. Sarah messaged me this morning, said she loves my the striving episode as well. As soon as I read, a lot of you know, I read this book. I'm reading this book, The Tao Te Ching, and I'm really starting to bring lessons, ancient lessons, into my modern day business. And I can tell you without any doubt, it's been the biggest shift ever. It's been the biggest shift for me. And one of the biggest shifts, it was in chapter 15 of the Tao Te Ching, is all around this. The more you try to strive, the more you'll never arrive. Right? The more you strive, the more you never arrive. Because you're pushing towards something and going against what is. It's saying, it's not trusting what's unfolding. It's not trusting what's unfolding. If you trust what's unfolding, you sit in surrender, you follow your heart, you take your heart's leaps, and you follow that guidance, right? You follow the guidance. The more you try and hustle and push and force something to happen, the more you're forcing what is. In the podcast episode, I gave the example of the river. So it's almost like the river's running, and you know when there's a river running, you can look at it and it can be both forceful but peaceful, right? It's pretty crazy. And a lot of the Tao Te Ching senses this, gets you to look at those sort of dualities and see that there's oneness within everything. It's both forceful, but also it's peaceful. And when you're in surrender and you're following your alignment and what feels in flow, that's just your river. And the results that are meant to happen are meant to happen. And the results that are coming your way will come your way, because it's all part of your journey. It's all either presenting the opportunities for you, or it's giving you the opportunities, it's giving you the lessons that's needed. But when you try and force something or hustle or grind or go against your flow so that you can get a particular result, it's almost like you're jumping in that river and trying to force it and trying to either hurry it along or go against it and try and change it in some way. Right? I'm not sure if this resonates with you, but this was like the biggest awakening for me. And since that moment, since I said, you know what? Whatever's going to unfold is meant to unfold. And as Illy was saying, she says, my business should be further along. And once I sat in and said, you know what? I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Not only am I exactly where I'm meant to be, I'm going where I'm meant to go. And I'm just following that. What's coming my way is meant to come my way. And what you'll find is that when you're okay and in peace with the now and following your flow, you'll actually get results more quickly and in more abundance than if you were trying to hustle, than if you were trying to jump in that river and force some things to happen. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions on that because it's not even too clear in my mind. So always answering questions helps me gain clarity for me as well. All I know is since I realized that in myself, I made the decision to just sit and just allow and know. It's like a deep knowing. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I'm going on my path the way I'm meant to go on my path. And it's almost like removing myself from the situation. I just feel so much more peace. So much more peace. All right. Jennifer says, she's sorry she's late, but she's here now. I don't know how the security guy let you in. I don't know how you got past him. Normally people who are late aren't allowed in, but I'm going to have to fire that security guy. Barbara, last year I took a course through it. I thought it would make money. Yeah, and it didn't. Whatever happens now is okay. Yeah, we've all done courses that we thought were going to make us money, and we did it for the money, and then it didn't happen, and you wonder why. So here's what I find. Sometimes it really depends. Your results really depend on what's in your expansion, and that really depends on what's going to. It really depends on what's going to. What strategy is going to work what's best for you. So some people who are going from a victim into an achiever might get a lot of external results by hustling and pushing because that's their expansion, right? That's you moving out of your victim mentality into the world where life's happening from you. And now you're starting to get some results because that's your expansion. That's you dropping some stories from your ego. What I find is that most business owners are past that and they're stuck in the achiever phase and they're trying to move. They need to move from achiever to receiver in order to be their expansion. Right? They need to do less of this and more of this so that the this will be guided. So that the answers aren't found out here, they're found in here. That's just what I'm finding. And so I've done courses in the past to do with real estate and all those different things. And I was doing it for the money. I was like, this will help me achieve more financial freedom and it'll help me get more income. Might even boost my status a little bit and get more significance. You know, I wasn't in my expansion back then. It's now in my expansion to sit back and to be the receiver, even go beyond that level of consciousness to oneness. Seems like everyone's agreeing with you there, Barbara. Yeah, when we move for an outcome, it's the opposite of surrender. Yes. Jennifer, I saw you booked to jump on the podcast as well. I'd love to talk about that. And notice it in yourself. Am I doing this for an outcome? Let me go on a little bit more of a riff. Am I doing this for the outcome? Am I on this live or doing this post, or am I putting out this piece of marketing for what I can get, or is this marketing part of my expansion? Right? Am I launching this business and growing it because of what I can get? Or is it because it's part of my expansion and what I can give and how I can serve? And it's just flowing through me. I say this all the time for you guys, but I'll say it again. If you weren't here on this call, I would still be doing this. I would still be doing this. I would still be on here because doing these calls puts me in flow. I love this. I love talking about this, just talking about what's on my mind. If you guys benefit as a byproduct, that's awesome. I send you so much love regardless. I'm just in flow. And so that's why I'm finding more and more aspects of my business. I just do it because it's flowing out of me. It just feels so aligned, right? Whether it's a podcast, whether it's doing other interviews, collaborating with other people, that all puts me in flow. I love it. And as business success comes, that's just the byproduct. The people I impact and the audience I'm growing, whatever it may be, that's a byproduct. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing this for me because it's just my flow. It's my alignment. I'm not doing it for any outcome. Right? My ego will be, and my ego comes up every now and then. Right? And says 8 people on this call, there should be 800. Michelle says the perfect question prior to action. Am I doing this for the outcome or for my expansion? Exactly. Am I doing this for the outcome or am I doing it for my expansion? Where I have just as much peace and fulfillment no matter what the outcome is. Right? No matter what the outcome is. If I was to have so much peace, just as much fulfillment, no matter what happens out there, that's when you're in the now. That's when you're co-creating with the universe. When I left my job to do this full time, I remember telling myself and declaring, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't care what's going to happen. I hope I get the opportunities, but I also hope I'm forced to look in and I'm basically forced to grow the way I'm meant to grow. Love the uncertainty and love the sides of me that I haven't loved unconditionally yet. So I hope I get the opportunities, but I'm also just as fulfilled if I just learn the lessons. If I just learn the lessons I'm meant to learn. I'm like, I don't care if I lose all my money. I don't care if I lose all of my audience. I don't care any of that as long as I connect with me at a deeper level. So that was me. That was my leap. So before we finish up, does anyone have any questions? Feel free to type in some questions. More than happy to stay on for a bit and make sure this all makes sense. I just go on a tangent sometimes, so hopefully it all comes together. Barbara says, doesn't matter if anyone comes on or not. Sometimes I'm just talking to myself and doing it on a Facebook Live. Perfect, right? If you have a calling to share something, that's your expansion. That's flowing through you. So share that. Not for the outcome, but because it's flowing through you, right? It's not the outcome is a deeper connection with yourself. The outcome is you showing you that you're following your heart, that you're following your flow and what feels aligned. That's the outcome. The outcome's a deeper connection with yourself. That's why my mantra now is connection, consciousness, and courage. That's what it is. That's all it is. So also notice the outcomes you want for society with this whole chaos. What are the outcomes you want for society? What are the circumstances you want for society and the world? And also notice that you're just as peaceful, you're just as fulfilled no matter what happens outside. Right? Really cool. Be just as fulfilled no matter what happens out there. And what you'll find is that what's flowing through you is a calling that wants to make a difference. But you're not wanting to make a difference because you think that should be different. This is something that's a real big game changer for a lot of people who are growing online businesses. There's a big difference with surrendering and being in acceptance with everything and still having the drive to change it, still having the drive to make a difference, right? The way I describe this is there are people dying of hunger in Africa, right? Now, there's just as much beauty in that as anything else. This is kind of trippy and it might trigger some of you, and hopefully it does. There's just as much beauty in that as in anything else, because that's what is, right? But there's just as much beauty in your drive to want to change it, right? You have the calling to shift that, but you don't have to be in resistance to it to go and change it. All you know is it's just your calling. It's your dharma. This is what fulfills you. So for example, I feel called to raise the consciousness of entrepreneurs, raise the consciousness of online entrepreneurs, whether it be coaches, consultants, whatever it may be. I feel called to do that. But I don't look at outside in society and see problems. I don't look in society and say that needs to change, right? I don't think it needs to be different. I think the world's unfolding perfectly the way it's meant to unfold. I just have a part of that, right? I just have a piece of that because it's flowing through me. It's got everything to do with me and the connection with myself. Does that make sense? It makes sense in my mind. There's a very, very big difference, because if you are in resistance, so let's say there's a cause of saving the animals. If you want to save the animals, you're not going to be very resourceful if you're angry about that circumstance. If you're angry about the circumstance, or you're pissed off, or you're frustrated, some people might think that's where your drive comes from. It's where some of your drive comes from, but I can guarantee you'll be more resourceful about making that change if you're also at peace with what is. If you're at peace with what is and you see grace and beauty in everything, the love that flows through you can shift and change anything with more resourcefulness. So those of you like me who are coaches, who are consultants, who have a drive to shift the world, this is always a good reminder. I'm not trying to shift you so you can change because I think you need to change. I just do what I do. I do what's flowing through here. And if you change as a byproduct for your expansion, then that's good as well. That's just a byproduct. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully there's some takeaways there. And hopefully I still have my voice at the end of the day, because I still need to record some podcast episodes. Any other lasting questions that might come up for you guys? I'm just sending you all some love and support. Like I said, life and our circumstances right now are forcing us to go in. And it's an absolute pleasure to do that with you guys. So thanks so much for showing up. Thanks so much for being you. Thanks so much for looking inward. Geez, you're all being awesome examples right now. Feel free to check out the podcast episode this morning that I posted about 3 hours ago. It's a really, really cool example that'll be a good follow-on from this. It's with Michelle. I'll be doing a few more episodes coming up to do with live coaching and things like that. And Reach out if you want the link to the call with Christina next week. If you save that, if you go to the link, sign up and save it to your calendar, the time zones should adjust. So there's no dramas with figuring out where it is. That's it. Thanks so much, guys. We'll be in contact. I've got about 40 people I need to reach out to who are responding to my post. Take care, guys. Have a good one.